What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's give some thanks to Hoop for showing up and hanging out with me on this Monday morning. We got 1 week to go here, Hoop. It's going to be interesting to try and navigate this last week here. I think there's lots of games that you can just reasonably cross off the list, but we will find the good ones to attack tonight and get ready to go. How was your weekend? How did the DFS treat you, and how are you approaching today?
That was a good weekend. Didn't dive too deep into the gambling sector. My son had his first baseball game on Saturday. Coached the team,
Oh,
so that kind of
wonderful.
kept me busy on Saturday.
Yeah.
Mother's Day yesterday. I was like, you know what? I've put my wife through enough shit with DFS and all that. I said I'm just gonna chill a little bit. So this weekend was a chill weekend, but definitely diving back in here today in the NBA streets. I'm gonna do some MLB DFS as well. But for NBA this week, it's gonna be a hell of a ride with all these teams obviously out of contention. We're going to see a lot of guys sit. I mean, tonight we only have 6 games, but there's some bigger slates this week, which are going to be a disaster from a content standpoint. But like you and I talked about it in the beginning, like the playoffs are going to be so fun. The play-in is going to be so fun. If you're a hardcore bettor and you like to get action, do your best just to chill this week. There's going to be so much like uncertainty around these games and the slate. It's a good week just to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and hang out. But we'll find. There's a couple of spots I like, maybe 2 or 3. But I'm going to be totally okay saying, you know what, no interest in this game. I'm moving on.
Yeah, I mean, JSU is going to have his work cut out for him on the final countdown this week because I expect the news to be coming fast and furious. I think a lot of these games that we handicap here on this show, this early in the morning or early afternoon, depending on where you are in the country, we're going to say, hey, we're going to wait for the injury report. And there was a couple we did that on yesterday, and it turned out to work out well. We said, hey, this is the players we're looking for. This is the statuses we're looking for. And this is where we're going to go one way or the other. And, I need to plan it out. And that's why what JSU does is so incredible as he's just pivoting and making all these decisions on the fly. So if you're not a member of runpuresports.com, head on over there, use the promo code RPSHeater25, and you have access to the Discord and the final countdown with JSU. So let's dive in right here today and start looking at some of these games. This first game is definitely one that I do have interest in. It's the Washington Wizards. Unfortunately, Hoop, no Bradley Beal tonight, so it's going to be the Russell Westbrook spend-up show. He's going to be like, 70% owned? I mean, how can you not put him in your lineup tonight? They're catching 8 points tonight. I like the +8 here. I think they keep it close against an Atlanta Hawks team. The total is 236.5. That number seems right. The Hawks are starting to go over again as they're getting the full lineup coming back in. The points have gone up. I have a little bit of interest in the over. And the final thing that I would have to say before I throw this over to you and get your thoughts could be the return of DeAndre Hunter tonight. So that could be a big boost for Atlanta as well. How are you approaching this game?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I actually like the Wizards with those points in this game, and there's not a ton of spots that I like on the slate, but I'm gonna take the Wizards +8. I mean, they're obviously no Beal, so that's a downgrade, but they're playing hard. Like they're actually playing very hard, and that says a lot at this point in the NBA season. They're gonna be right now they're in the 9 seed.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortably in this plan. I mean, there's 3 games ahead of the Bulls in the 11, so they'd have to have a full collapse here this last. I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest with you. But I definitely have interest here betting the Wizards plus the 8 points. Like I said, they're playing hard. Russell Westbrook is on a whole nother level right now. I mean, he has the ability to go out there and just take over these games, kind of doing it all. So I like the Wizards plus the 8. DFS-wise, it's going to be a good spot too because no Beal. Westbrook, for some reason, DraftKings kept him right at 11K. Actually, they might have taken him down a little bit.
What should he be like for the amount of points he's putting up? Shouldn't he be like 13-5 or
13,
something?
yeah, 13, between 13 and 14. And I think you still just play him. Like he's just by far the best source of fantasy points on the slate. I mean, the upside's massive. At an 85 fantasy point game last time out. DraftKings lineup should come preloaded with what Russell Westbrook at 11K.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no downside. You know he's going to play as many minutes as he. I mean, worst case scenario tonight. I mean, absolute worst case scenario is probably like 50 fantasy points, which you can still win with because we don't have a ton of studs on the slate. So Westbrook just a stone lock, and then you're looking at some of these other guys. Raul Neto, he's actually had a pretty stable role with Beal. I mean, he's playing. He's 23 minutes, 39 minutes, 20. He's going to play 30 minutes tonight, and he's had some upside games too. Rui Hachimura, I like, played, what did he play? He played 35 minutes last game. Going to be right around there. He's probably their second best chance of scoring the basketball. So I do like him. Ish Smith coming off the bench, 3.3K, should be the one off the bench that gets the biggest boost with Beal out. Bertans. Up and down season for Bertans, but really kind of stabilizing a role here. The minutes have been above 20, at least 25 minutes in 5 straight games. Production's been up and down, but without Beal, they're going to need him to score here, so he'll be chucking the ball. So Bertans, Ish, Rui, Raul Neto, and then you just lock in Russell Westbrook. On the Hawks side, I mean, for all the reasons that you mentioned with them getting healthier, the guys coming back makes them pretty much bad DFS plays, except one spot. Trae Young on FanDuel is only 8.4K. That's just too cheap. He's 9.3 on DK. I don't think he's a good play at that 9.3 price tag, but at 8.4K, where we're looking for 40, 45 fantasy points, very obtainable. So I really like Trae Young on FanDuel. But yeah, I mean, those are the plays, the fantasy wise, and I like the Wizards plus the 8. I'm with you.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily fantasy based, but looking back, right, we look at some of these underrated trade deadline moves. The addition of Daniel Gafford to this team, I mean, that was a complete throwaway to me, right? I read it, I go, what is this? Jimmy Butler, throw the paper behind your head, don't even think about it. He's been huge for that team, providing great backup minutes. I like what Lopez does in there. This is the hottest team in basketball right now. 16-4 in their last 20 straight up. I'm getting 8 points. Probably my favorite of the day. Of course, I do have another one there, so I'm locked and loaded if you choose that for your best bet. But we are on locks up there. We both like Washington. Now, the total was 236. You had mentioned this from a fantasy perspective. Does that mean that you're like me and you lean that this goes over, or do you think that maybe we'll get a little bit of playoff atmosphere here?
If the game stays close, I think it definitely goes over because the Hawks also have an incentive to win. I mean, they're right there. They're in the 5 seed right now. Mm-hmm. They're 2 games ahead of Boston in the 7 seed. So they need to win probably a couple games here this week to make sure they're not in that play-in. So they're going to be battling. So this is a game that I expect to remain close and high scoring. So definitely would lean the over for sure.
I only have 6-game slate, so I got a little time to deviate, and they're not on the slate today. Tell me your thoughts of Boston. That was an absolutely disappointing performance from them yesterday. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see a first-round exit from this team. What are your thoughts on the Celtics overall going into the playoffs?
Yeah, that's my thoughts too. Like I just don't see them making a run, and this could be the end for the Celtics team. I mean, there was no clear identity all season, and since I've been coming on the show with you, we've kind of had the same opinion. Those rotations early on just made no sense where they're playing Tristan and Daniel Tice together. Like this day and age in the NBA, like those lineups just are not going to work. Mm-hmm. And they paid the price for it. And still there's just no continuity in this team. There's no, like, who's their go-to guy? Is it Kemba? Is it Jaylen Brown? Is it Jason Tatum? Like there's no clear identity with this team. I think they could definitely get bounced in the first round. I mean, if they're probably most likely going to be in this play-in scenario. If they get out of the play-in scenario, then they're going to either play, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, or Milwaukee. I don't think they have a chance in hell of beating any of those teams.
Yeah, this could be the incentive to finally see this team get split up and broken up. Right. Although Tatum and Brown are so young, I could see them just giving another shot at it. But definitely one of the more disappointing teams in the league this season. Let's talk about a game that we had mentioned quickly before we had started this morning, and that's because our guy HTP got the best of the number. He is absolutely bathing in CLV right now. It's a CLV fountain springing all over his yard. It's the Indiana Pacers, who are 31 and 36, heading to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, 21 and 47. I too saw that line last night, and I thought that 2.5 was weird. I thought for sure there was some injury news that was going to come up. And obviously, that news never materialized, because now this line is 8.5, where it should be. I think this line is right now. And I still like Indiana here. There's no way you can play it, though. If you are a Run Pure Bets member and you got that notification, you got it in at 2.5 last night. Thank you. That would be probably one of your best bets of the week. My guess would be at 8.5. I still like Indiana, not enough to get involved. This total of 230 is one of those weird yin and yang situations that we've had earlier this year, where the Pacers score, give up a lot of points, and they're going up against the weakest offense in the league in the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm not touching this total here. And I lean Indiana, but of course, too late to get involved. Just maybe your thoughts on the game and maybe some more DFS angles, because at 8.5, it's really hard to give out Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing I do every morning. I get up, get to my office, pull up the bet spreadsheet, and I saw the 2.5 number. I was like, oh, why the hell are the Pacers minus 2.5? Didn't see the notification last night and pulled it up, and they're like -7 at that point. I was like, damn it, like I missed it. But yeah, now it's too late to get in. I think. I mean, I'd still lean the Pacers, but I'm with you. I can't bet it. From a DFS perspective, we're going to need some of this news. Jeremy Lamb still questionable. Malcolm Brogdon questionable as well. So that's pretty big news. Both those guys are out. I think we could potentially go to Sabonis, who's been playing really well. The problem is the price tag has caught up, and he's priced fully, but he's playing so many minutes. He's had 275 though fantasy point games in his last 2 in his last 5. Both those were against the Wizards. Actually, 3 out of his last 5 games have been 75 fantasy points. He had one against the Thunder as well when he came back from the injury on May 1st. So, there's going to be a ton of value. You could potentially play him with Westbrook in the lineup if those guys are out. You need Brogdon to be out more so than Lamb. I mean, if Brogdon's in, I don't think you can pay that price tag for Sabonis. On the Cavs side, I don't think I'm going to be going really anywhere on the Cavs side. The only guy could potentially play his value would be this Dean Wade guy. He's getting a lot of run here. Been right around 30 minutes last 6 games. What's the injury? So Hartenstein's questionable, Lamar Stevens questionable, and Chetty Osman's questionable. He would be a play if two or three of those guys, or 2 of those 3 guys were ruled out.
You have Hartenstein on your list?
He's listed. Yeah, I have him here as questionable.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Never mind. I just refreshed it. I got him here too.
Yeah, and that's not huge news, but yeah, 2 of those 3 questionable guys being out, I think I'd definitely potentially look to Dean Wade, but just not a real sexy game for DFS purposes, and the spread here is now fully adjusted.
All right. Well, great job, ATP. HTP, I mean, to get in there early. I saw that last night too, and I got to give him credit, because I thought there was going to be some injury news. I thought it was going to say Brogdon, Sabonis, the whole team, Levert, like that they missed a flight or something, for that line to be 2.5. So, he was not asleep at the wheel, and he got the great number. Let's talk about a game. This is the other one that I am interested in. It's the New Orleans Pelicans. They're heading to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. Ingram, questionable, so that would be huge return, I would say. For the Pelicans, Steven Adams questionable and Alexander Walker questionable. We will not have Zion. We will not have Josh Hart. We will not have Grayson Allen. I like the points here. The Pelicans have always matched up well against the Grizzlies for whatever reason. My theory on it is that they're just a big team, and Memphis struggles against the bigger teams here. Obviously, with no Zion out, that's going to take away a little bit of the punch, but I think it's been more than adequately accounted for in the line. I'm getting 9 points. I think it's just way too high. I think this New Orleans team, they're just, gasping for air. I think they do keep it close against a Memphis team. And it's funny, Grayson Allen's a guy that I ran down that I said I didn't think that last year, I didn't think that he was made for the league and that Memphis couldn't absorb his minutes. And he's been a great contributor. I think him being out is actually more than I ever thought it would be worth in my time watching basketball, because I didn't think he was going to make it. He does so many things, and I really underrated him. I think that's a tough one for him to miss tonight. I like the Pelicans plus the points here. What are you thinking?
I think I might be on the opposite side this one.
All right, cool. They love it when we disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just this Pelicans team, they're just so dead. And Brandon Ingram, I kind of was under the assumption he was just going to be done. I know Zion's out, but I'd be surprised if he actually does play here tonight.
Oh, really? You don't expect him to play?
I don't know. Like,
they're still alive.
Yeah, they're barely breathing. So I mean, they probably would have where they're like 3 back of.
They're 30 and 37. The Spurs are 32 and 35. But the Spurs have been playing absolutely terrible. So I mean, just if you're watching, you got to think like we got a shot at this. I don't think any team's fallen off in the last 2 weeks more than the San Antonio Spurs have.
Yeah, so only 2.5, or actually 1.5. Okay, yeah, they're right there, 1.5 games back.
Yeah.
I still think that Memphis handles them here. Memphis is also kind of playing for a little bit. They could move up.
Yeah, they are. 8. They need it.
Yeah. Man, I just this Pelicans team, I'm so down on. I'm so down on Stan Van Gundy. I'm gonna lean Memphis. I mean, I don't love them. Like I have another game that we'll talk about here coming up that I like a lot more. Definitely like the Wizards as one of my top 2 or 3 picks, but. Fantasy-wise, though, there's going to be some goodness in this game because of the injury situation, and it could be even better, obviously, if Ingram does sit. James Johnson still too cheap, 4.6K. Just a solid guy when he gets minutes. Eric Bledsoe actually popped up for a real big game. Was that yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday. 52 fantasy point game. He's been playing a lot of minutes here, so I'd imagine he would too. This is probably their last shot here. I mean, they know they're a game and a half back. There's only 1 week to go. They're going to probably go all out to win this, regardless of who is healthy and who's out. Steven Adams is also listed as questionable. So if he were to sit, Jackson Hayes, right back to him, been playing really, really solid. Back-to-back 40 fantasy point games. And even Willie Hernan-Gomez, I mean, the price is higher on him, but he's been playing quite well. Alexander Walker is listed as questionable too, so we'll kind of have to wait and see on him. But there's definitely going to be 3 or 4 guys on the Pelican side to consider. And then the Grizzlies, this is one of those situations where the prices don't match up on the sites. Like on DraftKings, all these guys are priced adequately. They're priced appropriately. On FanDuel, though, a lot of them are too cheap. Morant's too cheap. Jaren Jackson's too cheap. Dylan Brooks too cheap. Jonas Valanciunas as well. All have better price tags on FanDuel where they're good values. On DK, they're just like adequately priced. Probably won't go there. But FanDuel strong plays. Pelicans guys can consider them on both sides tonight.
Hey, we got a good question. I think especially with you handicapping the DFS, you'll be better to answer this. It's from James Strain. Do you think Ja Morant or Valanciunas can put up 20-plus points tonight? Morant's minus 134, Valanciunas plus 135. What do you think of either of those plays?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expect this game you're going to get the Pelicans playing hard. Like and it's a really good matchup for the Grizzlies. Like the Pelicans are not playing much defense at all. So if this game does stay close, I really like those guys. Just both go over the. Well, Valanciunas is tough though. I mean,
so Morant, I kind of like. Of course, you're laying the juice there, so you have to calculate that in. I think that number's right. If Steven Adams is out, I'd be watching the final countdown with JSU because I don't think we're gonna get the news till then. And then if Adams is ruled out, I would hit that 135 right away. That is value. Yeah, I think minus 134 is about right. Because at minus 134, he's going to have to hit at like, I'm just doing off the top of my head, but my guess is like 59, 60% of the time. Where it probably does hit that often. But I would much rather have the plus 135 going against the ideal matchup. And you brought up a great point with Jackson Hayes, and I think that he illustrates so much how we cannot judge these draft picks so early, right? Last year, I mean, did he look like one of the worst picks? I mean, he was literally unplayable. Unplayable. I mean, his minutes were absolutely terrible. You watch him this year, he's making great contributions. You see why they drafted him. You see the fit with Zion, and I can just imagine as he continues to bulk up, because he's only, like 20 years old? I mean, go back in time, man. To be 20, it's so easy to put on muscle at that age, right? I mean, it's just you hit the gym for like a half hour, go eat a couple of chicken breasts, and you're like twice the size. So, Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So yeah, we're on opposite sides there, so that'll be a lot of fun for the guys, and we can have some fun tonight. And maybe I'll send you a message, see who ends up on top on this one. This is a team that we just talked about, the San Antonio Spurs. They're fighting for their lives, but they have been playing absolutely terrible. What a weird time, right? Something that you would not really predict, for the Spurs to just go belly up. Since the 28th, they've only won one game, and that's against the Kings. That shows you how bad it is. Something to do with this bad streak, though, might be the road trip that they were on. They were in New Orleans, and they went to Washington, then went to Miami, then they went to Boston, then they were in Utah twice. They got that win against the Kings. Then they headed to Portland, but now this is the dreaded first game back from the road trip. They're going against the Bucks, who are the opposite. They're getting hot at the right time. They were experimenting all the regular season, but they seem to have dialed things in. Not only are they winning, they are covering. They lay 7. I think this number is pretty good, but I would lean towards Milwaukee because I'm on the Spurs fade. But it's 7, and put it kind of at that number where you could see Milwaukee winning, handily winning, and still not covering this number. Whereas if you're sitting here watching the victory or the winner is never in doubt. That's my main reason for staying away. But if I do get involved, I like Milwaukee. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely like Milwaukee here. I'm all for being off the Spurs. And there's part of me that thinks they don't even want to get into this thing. To be honest with you, I mean they have no chance. I mean they have a really bad roster. Like they have no chance of making a run in the playoffs. Part of me thinks they'd be okay, like not being a part of it with all the successes franchises had. But I will say though, just pulling up their schedule here, they've had a rough stretch of games. Like they have not had any free one free square. I mean they're at Miami, at Boston, 76ers, at Utah for 2 games, which is a tough spot to play. Kings, which they won, the one game they won, and then at Portland, where Portland's rounding into form right now, and all their guys are healthy. So that's one of the rougher stretches you're going to see in terms of a schedule, and it doesn't get any easier tonight against Milwaukee. I know it's at home, but give me Milwaukee here. DFS wise, hesitant to go here in this game just because Milwaukee is pretty locked in. I mean, they're in the 3 spot right now. They're 3.5 back of the 76ers. They could potentially move up to the 2 seed. Do they care to move up to the 2 seed? Probably not.
I personally would, though.
You think so?
I don't want to play Miami in the first round. I don't know how they're thinking, but if I'm a Bucks fan, right, I'd much rather play Boston, who can't even get their stuff together, Charlotte. The shell of Indiana.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So the 3 and 6 matchups will be determined, and
now
then
Miami could reasonably also sneak into that 5 spot. Now the way that they're playing, they're a half game behind Atlanta. But if I'm Milwaukee, I mean, we've talked about it before how that matchup is just gold. For Miami, and I mean, I would much rather play this flailing Boston team.
Well, then maybe that makes me like Milwaukee a little bit more. But for DFS though, like they have a lot of guys now. I mean, they're basically at full strength. If spending up, I mean, definitely prefer Russ. Like you got to play Russ tonight. It's going to be hard to go to Giannis. When Giannis is in there, it's really hard to target any of these secondary guys. So not much love for the Bucks DFS tonight. Spurs, like I haven't been playing Spurs all season, and it's worked out quite well. I'm not going to change it. Last week of the season against Milwaukee, so I think they're also a pretty good fade here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 things off of what you brought up. Number one, this team isn't playing very well, and I don't think it coincides with how the loss of Derek White, right? I mean, a lot of that is coming in. But you brought up the great point that essentially kept me off Milwaukee tonight, and that's how good would any team do going against that schedule, right? I mean, it's just such a tough schedule. So we're saying, the Spurs are playing terrible. Spurs are playing terrible. It's also one of the roughest spots of the season. So I'm really worried to downgrade them too much off that performance because I'm trying to think other than really like a top team, like a Phoenix, or a Clippers or a Nets. I mean, I don't know really who gets through that schedule any better. So that's the main reason I'm staying off Milwaukee. But if we're doing like a parlay, we're throwing every game in there. Give me the Bucks here. I just trust them a little bit more. This next one, the line kind of threw me off here. I thought it was a little short. I want to know what you think of it because I'm wondering if I'm missing something. It's the Utah Jazz heading to Golden State to take on the Warriors. The Jazz back in first place in the West, but they have incentive to keep it. The Suns are right on their heels, and two teams, Phoenix and Utah, that haven't had a lot of success recently. Really, I think the number one seed means a lot to them. So I
Yeah.
expect full performance from them. The Warriors, one of the hottest teams in basketball. I'd say the Wizards on the East and the Warriors in the West are the proverbial team that nobody wants to play going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Steph Curry has been unbelievable. Um, and hey, I mean, if you give me Lakers Warriors in that play-in, I am going to be a happy, happy man.
Yeah.
They are getting 2.5 at home. Am I overrating in Utah? So my numbers had this at 4.5 for Utah. Am I overrating them? Should I be maybe taking in recency a little bit more?
You're talking to the wrong guy because I've been hating on Utah like all season.
At least
They
you're
pounded
honest.
us. They pounded us the other day, man. The Nuggets game. I mean, love the Nuggets.
Oh, dude, that was I was out for dinner and
So tilted.
the guy goes, "Hey, you gamble, huh? Because you keep checking your phone, right?" And I go, and at this point, I'm doing great. I go, "Oh yeah, but look, I got Denver. They're ahead. And I got 4.5 here. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
the Knicks against the Phoenix Suns. I got +7. They're ahead at halftime,
yeah.
and I got the Blazers. They're ahead by 10, and I laid 7. So during the course of this dinner, and I'm trying to just keep everything. I'm just watching each lead just fall apart, and
You know,
they did catch us.
it was so painful the ending
Yeah.
to that game. But I don't know. I'm gonna take the Warriors. I mean, I don't know. I like the Warriors here at home. I look at the matchups. I don't know who. I mean, who's gonna guard Steph tonight? I mean, they could double team him, I'm sure, and they're a
Yeah.
smart team, so they'll probably figure out something. But any individual matchup here, he's gonna dust them. So I like the Warriors playing well. Steph playing well. Yeah, give me the Warriors. Plus the 2.5 or 3, whatever it is. DFS wise, we got some plays here though. Joe Ingles, I think, is a strong play. He's only 6'3" on DK, strong price tag on FanDuel as well. I think you could potentially look to Bogdanovich on the Warriors side. You're going to have the ability tonight to play 2 stars. We already said, you just lock in Russell Westbrook. It's no secret. He's going to be the highest owned guy on the slate. Just got the news that Steve Adams is doubtful. So Jackson Hayes is definitely going to get a big boost. But to come back to this one, yeah, you'll be able to pair up 2 studs most likely. Steph, I think, is a strong option tonight as well. Ken Bazemore should get a lot of minutes. But the key guys here would be Ingles, Bogdanovich, and Steph Curry.
All right. Well, we're on opposite sides, but I'm happy to stay away from that game. I think you made great points about how they're going to guard Curry, and it'll be interesting. Seems like a good matchup for Rudy, right? I mean, if there's any night that he can drop 20 in there, and I'd be using him a little more in the pick and roll, it would be to attack the Warriors, who are definitely small in the middle there. A little concerned about the matchup for them, but I have no problem staying away from this game. Here's another game I had no problem staying away from, and I think that if you said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to bet on the Houston Rockets. I'm not going to put money in a Houston Rockets game for the rest of the year. I would be completely fine with that. This is going to be what we're going to see for this last week. They're going to be catching these huge double-digit numbers against teams that care, and it's going to come down to when do the coaches call off the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you like Portland tonight, you're assuming that Stotts keeps everyone in till like 3 to 4 minutes to go. If you like Houston, you're assuming that Stotts wants to get some rest, and he pulls Dame and CJ and Norman Powell with 9 minutes to go. Unless you're intricately studying these patterns of the coaches in the blowouts, which I'll admit, I'm not prepared. I don't know how Stotts is going to play the blowout, so I'm just going to stay away from the game altogether. Maybe DFS wise, you're going to have some interest in this Houston side as their injury report continues to be like half of the page for the whole league's injury report. It feels like a Belichick thing where they got in trouble and now they're just putting everybody on it. So I don't know. Am I missing an angle to basically fade the Rockets here and lay the 14.5, or do you agree with me that we just scratch this game off the list?
I'm cool just being done with these Rockets games. Who the hell knows what you're going to get? They're big spreads.
Yeah.
Is Dame going to play in the fourth quarter in a blowout? Is he not? Is McCollum? What are they going to do? No point. I mean, to me, it's just literally just toss-up situations. And the Trailblazers could be up by 25 going into the fourth quarter. All the scrubs play. The Rockets are still, they have to play their key guys because that's all they have. The key, their key guys in this game. It's not the typical key guys, but they have to play their guys here because they don't have many bodies. Who the hell knows? Now for DFS, different story because, we do have some of these guys listed as questionable still, Olynyk and Christian Wood, but it's going to be thin rotations here. Daquan Jeffries is definitely a guy on the radar tonight. 40 minutes, 32, 37 minutes, had a 38 fantasy point game last time out. DJ Augustine, and not as excited about him. Olynyk's just crushing. As long as he's in there, he's been over 48 fantasy points in 3 straight games. Jayshawn Tate, Anthony Lamb will play a lot of minutes. So you're definitely going to look up some of these Rockets guys today. On the Portland side, I think more tournament plays like, if this game does somehow stay close, the Trailblazers guys could potentially go off. They're projected to score 127 points, which is big, huge number. So if you get a close game here, these guys could take over the slate. But the problem is, though, still they have so many guys that can produce. Who's it going to come from? So, it's going to be a stay away game or on the Portland side, most likely going to be staying away from it. You have to anticipate them just kicking ass here tonight. On the Rocket side, we're going to have to look to some of these guys because of the thin rotations. Problem is, though, they have these dudes listed as questionable. This is, there's only 2 10 p.m. Eastern games on the slate. If you wait too long for the injury news, you could get jammed up.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, to me, this game is the epitome of lay it or don't play it. That's how we'll be approaching Houston for these last 3 games of the year. Maybe we can find a spot where we really want to fade. Tonight's not the night. I think, like I said, I don't know Stotts off the top of my head of whether or not he likes to play the guys in blowouts, but my guess is that he will be more on the safe side, knowing that they most likely will be in the play-in. Let's get these guys rested. And Dame's been kind of beat up all year. I would be careful with his minutes if I was Stotts, and we will see how that one goes. Guys, just a reminder, we appreciate you guys hanging out, but we would also appreciate if you gave us a like and subscribe to the channel. Head on over to runpurebets.com to see all the great gambling info we have to offer. Use the promo code BETS25 off to get access to all the plays, to the Discord, to the articles, and of course to Keg Live, where he continues to give out the MMA and NASCAR winners. With that being said, it is time. Let's do our best bets. And Hoop, I got 2, so no matter what you take. Oh, and it's 10:30. All right. Stuff's off the board here. What are you getting? What are you getting here?
Yeah, Steven Adams. Well, he's doubtful. There's something about, I missed it though. Something about Brandon Ingram and Zion. I didn't see the full quote. I'm assuming Ingram might be.
I don't think Zion's not going to play at all, right?
He's not playing, but they're lumped together. Is that the game?
So Brandon Ingram's out.
He is
Adams
out.
Is doubtful.
Yeah.
Alexander Walker moved up to probable. Let's see how much that moved the line. The other one that's kind of funny. Okay, so everything's back up. Wow, they didn't even move the line off that.
Didn't move it. Yeah, that's already baked in, I guess, with Ingram out or being out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So who do you think gets a majority of the usage now with Ingram out? Because I know I thought that he was going to play. You had handicapped it as he was going to be out. Like if you were going to target, who do you think will be like maybe the top fantasy guy for New Orleans now with Ingram out?
Well, like I said, Eric Bledsoe has been playing really well, kind of stepping up, and he's had a bad season. Like he's been very disappointing, but he's been one of their more productive guys coming off the big game yesterday. If they're in this to win it, which I mean they're still in the hunt here. I like Ingram, definitely like James Johnson. I like Jackson Hayes. It's going to be a good spot here.
What about Lonzo?
Yeah, Lonzo's fine. I mean, the problem is the
JSU loves him.
Yeah, he definitely loves himself some Lonzo. He hasn't been all that productive lately these last couple games. I think I prefer going the cheaper route. But Najee Marshall is another guy. Like I said, Jackson Hayes is definitely a strong play. Need to see on Alexander Walker whether or not he's going to be in. Did play yesterday, but only played 21 minutes. What's the price tag? They got him up there, 6.5 on DK. I don't think you can do that.
Well, we made it through this injury report pretty good today, though. Most of these lines are the exact same as they were when
Yeah.
we discussed them earlier. The Warriors down to +2, so they're taking a little money, which doesn't surprise me because you made some great points on why the Warriors are a good bet here. So to me, that's money based. That's not news based. I didn't see anything in this Warriors game that we didn't expect. So I'd say actually the major news for that 10:30 drop is just Steven Adams going to doubtful and
Yeah.
Ingram going to out. It looks like the Cleveland game's about the same. No new news in the Atlanta game. No new news for the Spurs, Warriors, and Portland looks exactly the same too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So the numbers are on the board. They will be available for everybody to bet who's watching the show. What is your best bet for today, side total or prop?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my Warriors. I keep going
Okay,
against
let's do it.
Utah, and it hasn't worked out all that well. But I'm gonna take the punishment again tonight. I'm taking the Warriors at home here. I just think Steph will be able to have a big game tonight. So give me Warriors. Well, now it's +2.
Do you want the points or do you want to just take the money line?
I'll take the 2 points. Why not?
All right, you're taking +2. And you know what? You doing that saved me from having to make the tough decision because when I originally handicapped that and said that I liked the Pelicans there, I thought that Adams would be down there with Valanciunas. I thought that was going to give him some issues. I thought Ingram was going to be in. I think he's a really tough guard for anybody on the Memphis side. I mean, I guess Jaren Jackson can do it, but even if he stays in front, Ingram's so good at making contested shots. I just really like the matchup for him. I lost both those players. In fact, I'd say the only pivot off that news is to get me off that game. And let's go ahead and hit that the Valanciunas +135 right now. I like that a lot now because when he moved to doubtful, I'm just going to assume he's out. I'll take the risk because, I mean, it's not like a Valanciunas couldn't score those points even if he does play. Right, so it's not like we're drawing dead if Adams' situation changes. So I like the Valanciunas play as well. But my best bet is going to be the hottest team in the East right now. Give me the Washington Wizards, 16-4 in their last 20. Even though Bradley Beal's out, I think the leadership, the intensity, and the statistical accumulation of Russell Westbrook gets it done. Give me the +8 points. I'm not brave enough to take that money line, but I'm going to take the +8 here. Hoop likes the +2, and it's a little bonus. We like the Valanciunas points prop over. Hoop, you want to let everyone know what we got going on over at Run Pure Sports this week?
Yeah, so it's going to be a busy week with the end of the NBA season. We'll have our MLB shows, NBA shows, Up to Lock show with JSU and Holden every day, which is kind of turned into now a combo thing, MLB and NBA.
Yeah.
So, all the normal content, got the PGA stuff that'll come out Tuesday, Wednesday. So, make sure you head on over and check it all out.
All right. And as we talked before the show, Hoop, next week, I won't get to hang out with you because there will be no games on next Monday. But the week after that, we'll bring you back on Monday, and we won't be discussing these crazy injury reports. We won't, well, maybe there'll be a couple, but most likely we won't have any 15-point spreads. It should be close, hard contested playoff basketball, what we're waiting all year for. And actually with less games, it's going to be a lot of fun because we will be able to dive a little deeper, maybe into some individual matchups, some coaching adjustments, and what we see from these teams so far and what we're going to expect going forward. So I can't wait to be hanging out with you for that. There's nothing better. That's why we slog through this regular season, right? I mean, if there's no playoffs, this will be all for naught. But, we slog through the regular season. We take the ups and downs. We take the Knicks blowing our cover. We take the Nuggets melting down against the Utah Jazz, right? We do all this. We absorb all this pain to be ready to handicap the NBA playoffs better than anybody in this industry and this space. So I wanted to thank you for hanging out. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, we got to just kind of make it through. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it's not a fun week to really do content for NBA. It's this week is going to be difficult. Sunday, 15 games. Every team in the NBA is playing on Sunday. Let's get through this stretch. Hopefully, make a few dollars, and then the playoffs we're going to print.
No, really. I mean, this week doing NBA content is almost like how many different ways can you say tread lightly? How many different ways can you say lay off this game? How many
Yeah,
different ways can you
yeah,
say this is high variance? These books did a great job putting up this number. Yeah, I mean, I almost think that Milwaukee San Antonio game is a perfect example. My model comes out to the same number.
yeah, yeah,
Situationally, I think that, I mean, if we did the first take thing where you said you have to argue for Milwaukee, you have to argue for San Antonio. You can give me either of those teams. I can make a
yeah.
great argument, So I think there's no harm in laying off. So I appreciate you hanging out. Head on over to runpuresports.com. You should use the promo code GetBets. That way you can hang out with me, Tyler, HTP, JJ Score with D, the Sports Keg, and JJ, and get all the plays. Use the promo code GetBets. We will be back tomorrow with Travis Mangone and JSU. That should be a quick show. They probably won't talk very much. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Run Pure.